Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paula's Soapbox Live. My guest today is a talented singer-songwriter. His 2010 album, After the Morning After, made it into the top 40 on the iTunes charts. His 2014 single, Nintendo, made it to #1 on the Twitter Billboard charts, and now he has a new single called Ready, which will be available for purchase on May the 31st.
That's
so
right.
Please welcome to the show, Todd Carey.
Thank you so much for having me, Paula. Nice to meet you officially.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I've heard so much about you, so I'm
Thank you.
glad to finally have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So some of your music has already been featured on TV and film.
Yes.
And the single that's coming out Tuesday was actually on a Hallmark movie earlier this year.
That's right.
So how did that come about?
That's a good question. I think someone over there just heard it. Like, I have like my album has been finished for a while and it's been floating around to some of the music houses, and someone over there was like, "Oh, I love this song. I think it would fit really well in the movie," and they put it in, which is so cool. And I was honored to have it happen.
Yeah. So I bet you get a lot of downloads from your songs that are in movies and TV.
So, I mean, to tell you the truth, I haven't had really any songs that have been in like big movies. Like, I've had stuff that's been on like MTV but you know what? To me, those don't drive a lot of downloads, at least right now.
Really?
It's just good exposure more than anything. Really, my audience and my fans are the ones who are supporting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must just be me then, because I always look for like the hidden songs in the things that I'm watching.
Oh, I like that.
And try to find them. So, and I found a lot of really cool artists that way.
That's me too. I think you're really cool. You're unique. You know, you look for stuff. Although I could be wrong. Is there any way for us to ask listeners right now or people hanging out?
Well, you can ask them, and maybe they can tweet.
They can tweet. Okay, they can't communicate with us in the live thing.
No, if they're watching.
Let's ask them a question.
Okay, so let's see.
You guys find your music in movies and TV? Let us know. Is that possible? Can they let us know?
Yes. Yeah, they can let me know. They can. I have the question answer app turned on.
Oh, great.
So if they're watching this live, they can just type in their question, and I should see it. So.
Cool. I'm very curious. So if anyone writes in, let me know.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I should see it. It should pop up. So I'll let you know if anyone. Okay. Yeah, that is a good question, because I would, I hope that I'm not the only one that does that.
Sure.
Okay, so you are all over social media. So, yeah, you're everywhere. You're on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, everything. You're Vine, So how do you feel about the role that social media plays in the music business?
Amazing. I feel like I don't want to say levels the playing field, because it doesn't. The people who have major record deals still are at a huge advantage over every other artist. But what social media does is it gives people who are trying to reach an audience a tool to reach that audience. And for me, who's always I've had record deals, I've been independent, but it's through all of that, I've been able to stay in touch with my audience and the people who I care about and the people who care about my music and to care about me. And so I find it to be like one of the best gifts that I've been given as a musician. And I say as a musician because that's what I am first. A lot of people think I'm like a social media person, but to me, it's all about the music. But those social media outlets are a way for me to stay in touch with everybody. And I'm like incredibly grateful that, they've embraced me, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have like over 1 million followers on Twitter now, so that's pretty cool.
That's so crazy to me and mind-blowing, and I'm just so grateful for it.
So you studied music at USC, and right away you hit the ground running. You formed a band like in the first week or two of enrolling.
Thank you for reading.
Telepathy. Yeah. Telepathy was the band. So you saw some success with the band, and you did some solo stuff on the side while you were with the band.
Yes.
So was that a problem for them at the time that you were kind of pursuing?
No, that's a good question. I think that at the time I'm always needing to do more stuff. So I just needed that extra outlet to always be creating. And no, those guys are like my best friends, and I'm still really, really good friends with them. They never had a problem with me doing solo material, but when the band ultimately like didn't make it, for whatever reason, like just as far as like commitment, then I was able to like take that solo thing and make it my main thing, which is fine. And I'm happy about it,
Yeah.
It's been really
well, and you have more creative control, I'm assuming now, because you are a solo artist.
I really like collaborating with people. So I try to collaborate. I know the name says Todd Carey, but when you see pictures you were mentioning before our broadcast, like Instagram pictures, a lot of those are collaborations with people, whether it's a photographer or like edits that I've been inspired by. And when you hear my songs, oftentimes they're my songs, but maybe I've co-written them with somebody, or maybe a producer has had their hand. I'm always getting other people, inspired by other people's stuff, and oftentimes working very closely. So even though it is my name, I always try and collaborate. I think it makes people stronger to like collaborate,
Yeah. Well, since you brought it up already, you collaborated with Meghan Trainor.
Yes.
One of your songs is on her title album.
That's right.
So how did that collaboration come about?
Her team caught wind of some of the songs that I was working on, Oh My God, and they really liked the songs, and they wanted to use, they were inspired to use some elements of stuff that I had written, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool, though, because a lot of people have bought that album, so...
I think it was like the biggest, I don't know if this is right, but I'm just going to say it. I think it was one of the biggest, it was definitely it was one of the biggest female albums of 2015. If not the number one, the number 2 or 3. It was like Ariana, Taylor, and Meghan Trainor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in addition to singing, you've also done a little bit of acting in college.
A tiny bit. I wouldn't even call it that, truthfully.
Well, but you were in A Mighty Wind in college. So what did you do in that movie?
Mighty Wind is a really funny movie. It's about it's kind of like a spoof on these old folk groups that used to be really popular. And often when you see like documentaries, they show like old album covers. And I was like in one of the folk groups, and we took like a bunch of fake album covers. And we actually shot some scenes for the movie, but they didn't actually make it. Yeah. But so that was my big acting debut. my star turn.
Yeah. Well, you might do more in the future, so.
I am definitely open to it for sure. I'm always open to it. Like I said, I'm always a musician first, but anything that comes along, I'm like all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just an easygoing guy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Paula.
So, speaking of acting in movies, I read that you saw when they were filming Home Alone at the house.
Oh, yeah. Wow, you really did your research. Thank you. Yeah, when I grew up.
Yeah, I did my research.
It was my little sister's best friend's house.
Yeah. So how old were you?
Oh, man, I can't even remember. But I was really, really little.
Yeah. But it was before anyone knew that it was going to be such a big hit, so...
Well, nobody knew that yeah, exactly, you got it. Nobody knew that movie, it was like a small, I mean, John Hughes had successful movies, the guy who made it, but that movie became one of the all-time biggest movies of all, Yeah. I remember being over there. That was like one of my first memories, being at the house when they were filming it.
That's so cool.
And then, every time I bring like a friend home to the neighborhood, it's like the first
they all want to see the Home Alone house.
thing they want to see, and I always love showing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you also did a tour based on A Christmas Story, which that must have been really fun.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw pictures of you in your pink bunny costume, so that was really really cute.
A pink
The Pink Nightmare, yeah. That's one of my favorite Christmas movies. So
such a good movie.
Well, speaking of Christmas, you wrote a Christmas song, Perfect Christmas Day.
Yes.
And I know that you were not really too thrilled with the idea of writing one, but you did. You wrote this one.
How did you read that somewhere? Did I say that?
Yeah, you said it in an interview or something somewhere. Is that true? You really didn't want to?
No, yeah, it's totally true. No bag on other artists, but I just never ever thought of myself as someone who would have a Christmas song.
Yeah.
And still, when I look at my collection of songs, I kind of hate that I have a Christmas song, to be totally honest. I look at all my songs, I'm like, oh, proud of it. I'm like, oh man, the Christmas song. What happened was it was written. I don't know if I've talked about this, but it was written for my mom. She went through. She had cancer, breast cancer, and she beat it. And I wrote this song about her, and then it like morphed one day perfectly into a Christmas song. Yeah. And so it felt right because it was like family and holidays, and it felt real to me. It didn't feel like some. I don't know. I'm pretty open to anything commercially, but there's something about some Christmas albums and artists that really bother me. And for me, it felt like it wasn't part of that vibe. So I did it. But that being said, now I look back and I'm like, oh man, I have that Christmas song. But
it's sweet though, because you did it for your mother. So.
Well, thank you. I thank you for noticing that. That's also how I justified it. It was like, it was real, you know?
Yeah. So what did she think of the song? I'm assuming she loved it.
I thought you said Tina. That's her name. I thought you said, what is Tina? Tina loves the song. She loves the song. She's one of my biggest fans and biggest critics. Yeah. So she puts it on at Christmas. So I think that means that
she likes it.
Okay, you know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of your mother, you brought up the fact that she did have breast cancer and she beat it. And you formed like this organization, Todd for Tatas. So are you still doing that? Are you still involved with that?
It's not as active as it once was. You know, to create and to continue and to like, I don't know, to make a worthwhile contribution and effort, like that takes a lot of touring and like kind of capital. And right now there's just not as much happening in my life. But as soon as the opportunity cranks back up for me to be able to like properly do it the way it should be done, because then I'll do it, is what I'm saying. Yes, I really want to. What I'm saying is right now I just don't feel like I can adequately give it what it needs, you know? So it's kind of on hold. But as things get bigger and as more stuff starts happening, like touring, I'll definitely be reviving it because it's a cause. It's like my cause, and it's a cause that's very near and dear to my heart and so many others. I mean, it's become cliche at this point, almost like the pink ribbon, but there's a reason why. It's because so many people are affected by this, you know? Older people, younger people. It's crazy, you know?
Yeah, my mom had it too, so.
Either too, so it's really important.
My mom had breast cancer too, so I'm glad that you're doing that sort of.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but she's good now. So
okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah, she's good now.
Very lucky, and that's not the case for everybody. So
no, and it seems to be happening to younger and younger people, which is it's crazy. It's
crazy. Alarming, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so back to your songwriting. How old were you when you wrote your first song?
14. I was a freshman in high school, so 14, I think. And it was a blatant ripoff of another song.
You plagiarized?
I totally plagiarized.
Do you remember what it was about?
It was called "Can I Trust Myself," which is a horrible song title in retrospect. I like the idea, but this title is way too long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first song. Can I trust myself? Can I trust myself? 4 or 5 words. You're not, you know, the general rule in songwriting is like, you know, 3 words or 2 words, not 5. But there are exceptions. There are exceptions for sure.
So what made you decide to try your hand at songwriting? Because I know you've played the guitar for a little while.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wanted to record music and put it out there for people, and I didn't want to be covering other people's songs. I wanted to have something that was worthwhile for people to listen to, you know?
Yeah. So is it true that your song Watching Waiting was written in 5 minutes while you're waiting for a girlfriend to show up at your family's cabin?
Yes. I mean, the waiting period was much longer than 5 minutes. It was more like 2 or 3 days. but the song was written in 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, I was going crazy, but yeah, it was, man, yeah. You know, as a songwriter, you wait for those moments, you know, and the real flashes are so few and far between. We work all the time to write, but yeah, that's how that song came about.
Yeah. So you've said that the song Light Her Up kind of sums you up as an artist. So do you still feel that way?
Say about me, I don't know. I say so many things.
So you don't know whether it.
No, I think what I meant at the time is that it represents what I like as an artist, like upbeat, fun, fast lyrics.
Yeah.
And it does talk about being like it's pretty general, but it alludes to being on the road and a different show every night, but then having it be fun, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, yeah, it still holds pretty true to me. It's still like my favorite, one of my favorites, you know?
Yeah.
It's not even out yet.
Yeah. Well, is it going to be on your future throwback album?
It'll be out on the future throwback album. So at some point, I've been talking during the ready process about the album Future Throwback coming out later this summer, but I'm thinking that the Lighter Up single may come pretty quick after this Ready single. We'll see.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
really cool.
Yeah. I think I got inspired because I just did a photo shoot yesterday, and like there are a couple photos in that shoot that I'm like, oh my God, this is the Lighter Up. Like this is the colors that we did. So I wanted to put it out with that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. So tell me about the challenge, this songwriting online secret competition thing. The
secret society of songwriters. Yeah, people call it different things. I called it the challenge for a while. Some people call it the game, the song game. It's hosted by a guy named Bob Schneider, who's one of my heroes, biggest heroes. He's based out of Austin, Texas, and he's one of the better, more prolific songwriters out there. And he every week has a group of writers via email, including some very big names that everybody's familiar with, and then some random people, and then people like me. That he'll come up with a phrase like I'm looking at the coffee table, and you got to work that into a song somehow, and you have to write it. You have to turn it in by Sunday every week at midnight.
Oh, wow.
And if you don't do it, you get kicked out of the game every week. Yeah. So
it's a good writing.
It keeps you writing no matter what.
Right. Well, it's a good writing exercise because it forces you to kind of do it whether you're feeling inspired or not.
Exactly. And I've had a lot of songs that keepers come out of that I didn't think were, like, I wouldn't have sat down to write it, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's really good. So it's actually enhanced your songwriting.
Yes. Big time. Big time.
Yeah. Well, your song Nintendo has done very well.
Thanks.
As I mentioned, it was #1 on the Twitter Billboard charts.
Yeah.
And it's had 1 million streams on Spotify and counting.
It just happened. I'm like, that to me was a real milestone. I'm pretty excited about that one, I have to say.
Yeah. And you weren't allowed to play Nintendo when you were growing up.
It sounds so black curtain or red curtain. Is that the word I'm looking for? My parents would totally they would bristle at the way. But yeah, the truth is I had to like rethink the way I present that, because it's like we could afford a Nintendo, but my parents were just like against me playing video games, I think. Or they just thought there were better ways that I could spend my time. But the funny thing is they eventually got me a Game Boy, you know, which is like the portable. Yeah. So I think that's almost much worse, because you can play it anywhere then. You're not sitting home. You know?
Yeah, it's like the cell phones and stuff. You're like tied to them, addicted to them. So
eventually I had a Game Boy, but yeah, it is true that my parents were like, no. It was really my mom. I think my dad would have done. But my mom's like, no Nintendo for you.
Yeah, but you had the Game Boy, so like you said, I mean,
and now I have the song that like has made my whole thing. So I'm like kind of thankful. I don't know if I have written that song, you know.
That's so ironic that, you know, you don't know that you would have written that song had you been,
I know.
you know, into Nintendo, and
I was into it. Don't get me wrong. I was way, I think,
yeah.
so much into it because I didn't have it that I wrote that. It's pretty weird how stuff like that works. Yeah.
Right, like because you couldn't have it, you were obsessed with it. So
Exactly.
So, but your parents, you know, they really nurtured your love for music. Your mother was a musician.
Yes.
Your father appreciated music and introduced you to a lot of different types of music.
Yes.
So, do you think if they hadn't done that, do you think that you would have chosen a different career path?
I think that they were really encouraging of music. One of my first memories is going to like a toddler music class. And I remember them showing us about like the beat of the music. It was like they had little like cards that were like heartbeats, and you counted out the beats. So like they physically introduced me to music, and then my dad conveyed the passion for it. Like he was into all the artists and all the songs, the classics, and all the genres too. Like, you know, he knew his classic rock, his folk, but he was also really into jazz. Is also really into jazz and classical. And my mom was actually she studied music in college and was a music teacher, although she didn't love it as much. But yeah, I would say that part of it definitely was inspired by them for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You've answered pretty much all of my questions.
You have great questions. I have to say, like, this has been really, really sweet, Paula. You are very good at what you do.
Oh, well, thank you. You're very good at what you do, obviously. So.
Yeah, thank you. I do a lot of interviews, and it's really you're a fresh face, and you know, it's been a pleasure to be on here, and I wish you a lot of success with what you do.
Oh, well, I wish you a lot of success too. Well, I have a few dates here that you have coming up.
Oh, great.
June 9th, you're playing a free show at College Park, Maryland.
Yeah, it's in Maryland. It's University of Maryland. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And July 8th at Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
it's not free.
Those are Door County, Wisconsin, north of Green Bay. So I have a bunch of dates up there. If any kind of Midwesterners, Wisconsin,
well,
July, a lot of Todd
Carey. This one's not free, correct? The one in Sturgeon Bay.
This one isn't free, but the next 2 or 3 are.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And July 12th, you have another free show at Sister Bay, Wisconsin.
Yep.
And July 16th, another free show at Combined Locks, Wisconsin.
That's right.
And yeah, so to get more info, people can go to your website, toddcareymusic.com.
Ah, and you even got the website right. You're so amazing.
And Ready will be out on May 31st.
Ready.
So you can download that on.
Ready.
Are you singing a little bit? Am I hearing a little?
Oh.
Yes. I got you to sing.
There you go.
It'll be out May 31st, and you can download that
on Tuesday.
Yeah, on iTunes, Amazon,
Spotify. So anyone who's watching or listening right now, please support me, support Paula. Go check out Ready on iTunes, on Spotify, on Amazon Play, all of them on Tuesday the 31st.
Yeah, Tuesday the 31st, and your album Future Throwback will hopefully be coming out later this summer. So
right. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Todd, thank you so much for coming by. I know, like I said, you have a very busy schedule, but I hope that you'll come back at some point.
Absolutely, especially because you're so great, and I do appreciate you just being so on top of it, and you have a great personality, and thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. You're so sweet. Well, we wish you all the success in the world, and lots of downloads for Ready. So.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later.
Bye, Paula. Thank you.
Bye.